Hi everyone and welcome back to Fully Playable Games. So on today's repair video we are going to be looking at the third and final console that I picked up from John at the boot fair a little while ago. And that is going to be the Nintendo GameCube. So obviously I have already got a black GameCube in the collection. That is my main GameCube that I use whenever I'm playing on GameCube, Game Boy, or all of those sort of consoles. But I wanted one where I could modify it. So I picked this one up. Been told that it doesn't read discs. So it powers on, but it won't read discs. So I'm hoping that we can get the disc drive working again without having to replace it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to be putting the mod chip and SD adapter on the console, and then what the plan is so that I can then play some of my GameCube games without having to use discs, basically just to keep the discs as pristine as possible. So yeah, that is the plan for today's video. So let's just get straight into it. Let's get straight over to the desk and then we'll get this one tested and torn apart. Okay, so I've got the GameCube all set up on the desk, ready to test. I've got it hooked into my capture card, so I'll be able to bring the footage up on screen. So yeah, let's just get this powered on and we'll see what the problem is. So it powers on, which is good. Obviously I was told that it would power on. It is just it wasn't reading discs. So let's have a look. So I've got Wave Race Blue Storm that we're going to try. If we look at the disc, there's a couple of marks on it, but overall it's pretty clean. So I can feel it spinning up. So if we okay, so no response from the controllers, so it looks like there's an issue with the controller port. Oh no. Yeah, so if I lift up, very temperamental. But yeah, so it's not detecting the disc. So if I center the disc so that the logo's up the top, so it's definitely doing something. I can feel something going. Yeah, so it seems like the disc has moved a fraction of a mil. But right, let's pull that out. And what we'll do is I'll get it all unplugged and we'll get the top off and see if we can have a look underneath the case. Okay, so to get into the GameCube, we've got 4 screws that need to be taken off. And what I tend to do as well is I also remove all of these caps just to guarantee that nothing gets broke. And to get into them, you need to use a GameBit driver. So I've actually recently picked these up because before this I had the GameBit, sort of like the screwdriver bits, and sometimes they cannot be long enough to actually get down into the consoles. So I thought I would pick them up, pick up a couple of actual screwdrivers so that I could guarantee to be able to get in there. So yes, wait a minute, I have been looking forward to doing this one. This is one of the repairs that I've been looking forward to. Okay, so that's 2 that come out and 2 that are still in. There we go. So as I say, 4 screws, so I'm going to flip it over and then you just lift the top bit off. Just comes straight off. There's no connectors or anything like that inside. And looking about, it is really dusty inside. So could definitely do with a really good clean, which we're going to do while we're in here. But my main thing is to work out what's going on with this disk drive. So just trying to work out. So that is going to be the reset button. That is the eject. Let me just take some of these bits off. Right, that's going to be the lid. So the lid sensor. Obviously your power button, your reset, and your lid sensor. So that's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug back in the power. Actually, need to turn it on. Yep, there we go. So we've got the light. And okay, so that is a bit aggressive. So let's see. So if we turn it back off again. Can I... Yep, there we go. So I've just moved it right the way up. And then we'll close it again. I don't know why. It just seems to be going that way. A bit too aggressively. Okay. Right, what I'm going to do is... So we can see... I don't know whether you could see it on the footage or not. Let me just double check. Yeah, so you can see that the laser light's coming on. But yeah, it is just the fact that when that sensor's moving down, it is sort of clattering against that edge. So yeah, let's get it open. And I've got to work out now how to get everything out. Because I'll be honest, I have never opened a GameCube before. And these just pull straight up. Yep. Oh, okay. The little flaps are on there. So what I'm gonna do is before we get all this back in, I will be giving it a clean, and just making sure that everything's in the best condition possible, because I am looking to mod this as well. Right, I am going to need my screwdrivers, which I've completely forgot to get. So give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to grab my screwdrivers. So this is why I don't like taking my screwdrivers out of out of my office, because I always forget to bring them back in. So I've been doing some work on my sort of day job where I've been needing the screwdrivers, and yeah, just completely forgot to get them back out of my toolbox, knowing that I was going to be doing this video, so I needed to bring them back in. Right, so that is going to... Right, so I need to remove that cable and unfeed that. So that is the power button assembly. As you can see, definitely needs a very good clean. Right, and if I remember rightly, it is now all of these screws that now need to come out. That will give us access to the underside of the CD tray. Okay, so that is all of the screws removed, and from what I remember, it should... Nope, I've forgotten the screws at the front here, which needs a smaller screwdriver. Okay, so that should be it. Have I? No, there you go. I've completely missed all the screws on the back there as well. As I say, this is my first time stripping down a GameCube. And there we go. 75th time lucky. So obviously there's no ribbon cables because it just connects straight from that port into there. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the bottom bit of the console off to the side, and we will look at that a little later. So now we've got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 small screws on the bottom there. I'm going to stand it up like that, try and keep the laser off the ground. So now we've got that bottom cover off, what we want to do is we want to measure the resistance on this potentiometer. So that is the one that controls the power to the laser. And what we want to do is we want to be on the middle one on the left and the bottom one on the right. And I've got my where am I going? There, that's what I want. So this is reading 232. So from what I've seen online, this should be anywhere between 400 and 600. So what I'm going to do is I am going to adjust that up. Just going to get a small flathead and then make small adjustment on it. So just turned it anti-clockwise by a couple of mil, and that's gone down to 162. So just need to turn it the other way. And we're now at 339, so we're going in the right way. Bit further. So ideally I want to be hitting around the 500 mark, so right in the middle. We're at 475, so just a touch more. There we go, 506. The meter's now reading. I know I've probably not got it on screen, but let me, actually what I'll do is I will zoom out so that you can see the meter as well. So just there, just there. There we go, 505. So that should be right in the sweet spot of where we want to be. So now the only thing to do is to put it back together. So that goes on like that. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, put it all back together, basically to the point where we can put the disc in. I'll get it hooked back up and we will test the disc in. Reason why I'm so keen to get the disc drive working is for two reasons really. One, I really want the console to be completely working. And secondly, the mod chip that I've got needs to basically uses the CD drive to bypass the bootloader. So I'm going to need the CD drive working to be able to use the SD card loading. So yeah, so give me 2 minutes then. I'm going to get this all back together, and then we'll get it tested again. Okay, so I've got everything just loosely plugged back in. I've not put any of the screws or anything on. What I am going to do, before we do anything, I'm going to remove all of that. So give it a proper clean afterwards. So once we know that the drive's working, I will give it a proper clean. So that is everything plugged back in. So let's put up the screen catcher up in the top corner. So obviously I've not got the tag held down, but if I now hold it down, an error occurred, please turn the power off. Okay, so that's, yeah, so that is basically saying now that the laser's probably overpowered. So what we'll do is I'll strip it back down again, and then what we'll do is we will turn the potentiometer back down to see if that makes a difference. So what we're going to do is we're going to just reduce it back down again. So I'm probably going to go down to around the 400 mark. So let's give it a test. So 297. So I need to go back up a bit. There you go, 403. So, right, so I'm going to get this back in again, and then we will see if that's made any difference. Okay, so I've got everything back together again, so let's go for second time lucky. So there we go, we've not got, so straight onto the GameCube screen. So we'll put the disc in. So error has occurred again. So what is this error? And check the Nintendo GameCube instruction booklet for further instructions. That is not very descriptive. So what is the error that it's saying that it's got? So what I'm going to do actually, before we do anything, let me just move that up and just see if... Yeah, so there's no life from that now. So what we'll do is we will turn it back down. I'll take it back down to 300. I'm not going to show that. I will just get that done now, and then we'll come back. But yeah, I'm going to turn that back down to 300 and see if that makes a difference. Okay, so I am going to back up what a lot of people have said about me over the years, that I am a complete muppet. And the reason why is I had to actually push the drive assembly down onto the connector. So technically the drive wasn't even plugged in. So yeah, no comment there. Rookie mistake. We'll just chalk that one up too. So disc is in. Let's press the button. Okay, so the disc isn't spinning. Don't know if it was spinning beforehand or not. So that laser just does not, I don't know why, just doesn't seem right. But what I am going to do now is, now that we've seen that it is repairer error, I'm going to take that potentiometer back up to 500 and see if that makes a difference. But I'm thinking that we potentially might have a couple of different issues. The fact that the disc isn't spinning. But yeah, give me a couple of minutes. I'm going to make that adjustment and then we will be back. Okay, so I have now readjusted that potentiometer back to 500. So let's power it on and see if we can get the disc to spin. So yeah, it is still not spinning. Okay. Right. I am going to have to go off and do a bit more research, see if I can find out what is potentially causing that. So give me, well, for you, I will be back in just a second. So, doing a bit more research online, some other places that I've looked have said that you actually need to be, that we need to be reducing the resistance and not increasing it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take it all back apart. We're quite good at this bit now. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to put it back to the where it was to start with. So I think it was around 250. And what we'll do is we will just increment it down and see if that makes a difference. Right, so what I've done is I have put it back to, I think it's at 260 now on the resistance. So I'm just going to see if that makes a difference. No, so the laser is still, it's just a laser, no spinning. Yeah, as I say, it is, the reason that the disc isn't spinning is down to the laser. It's not anything else. So yeah, what I have done is I've not put any of the screws in, so it'll be a lot easier just to lift it straight out. So what I will do, let me see if this will stand up. Okay. Hopefully you'll be able to see that. No, maybe not. Right, so just have a quick look. So yeah, 259. I think you can just about see that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it down to 200. See if that makes a difference. So 123, need to go back up. 212. See if I can just get it nearest to 200 as I can. 176. No, didn't actually move it that time. So that is the thing with this, it is very finicky. But I will say it's actually easier to do it on the GameCube than it is to do it on most consoles. There we go, 201. Brilliant. So yeah, the big difference between the GameCube and most other consoles is that with most other consoles, it's actually on the laser assembly itself that you have to make these adjustments. And that obviously requires you to completely dismantle the drive each time you want to test it, or test and make adjustments. So yeah, it can get a bit tedious. Definitely takes a lot longer with other consoles than it does with this one. Right, so that's everything. So we'll power it on. The only thing I'm noticing is I'm not getting the GameCube pop-up, or the console sort of intro. But put the disc in. Nope, still no spinning. Okay, so I am going to take it back out, and what we'll do is this time we'll go down to probably 175, back down to where we were a second ago. So it should just be a tiny little touch. 150. No, I want it a bit higher than that. No, I'm right the way back up. $198. $177. Yeah, I could live with that. Right, so we'll now get it back in again. Yeah, definitely a more efficient way to not put the screws in every time. So it's just the power that needs to go back in now. And we'll put the game in, and then I'm just going to hold these down straight off the bat. Okay, that's a bit different. We've now got the GameCube logo coming up again. But the disc is still not spinning. Ugh. Oh, yeah, it is a very, very tedious task. I was pretty much hoping that you could you could literally just set them, and yeah, it was fairly straightforward, but it is not. It is all about trial and error with these. And yes, sorry about the chair. Right, so let's try and go down to 150. I'm a bit hesitant to go any lower than that. $146. Yeah, go on. I think after this, if it still doesn't work, it is probably going to be a new laser. So hold that down, press the power button. Still not spinning. So let's try essentially opening the lid. Yeah. No, I am thinking this is probably going to be a new laser time now. So, right. Okay. Right. Well, I'm going to go and get a new laser ordered. And what we'll do is we will pick the video up once it arrives. Right, so it has been a couple of days since I filmed that last part of the video, and just after I finished packing up, I decided, actually, instead of jumping in and just buying a new laser, let's actually work out the exact problem. So, what I have done is I have gotten the laser assembly out of one of my other GameCubes. So I got a Lilac GameCube from the boot fair, I think it was last year, and I don't really use it. It just sits on the shelf, but I know that it is fully working. So what I've decided to do is we're actually going to use this laser assembly, and we're going to try and work out exactly what component has failed. So is it the laser, is it the motor, or is it even the board? So yeah, and that is what I'm going to do before I buy anything, before I jump into it. So what I want to do first, I'll just get my map back out, is I want to do some readings on the board. So we've got the potentiometer that we were working with last time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in on this bit. So this potentiometer again, we'll jump back onto that one. And let me just get my multimeter out. So I think it was around 230 the other laser was reading when we sort of finished and when we got it back to where it should have been. Make sure that's set right. And what I'll probably do is I'll probably be flicking between the two camera views just so that we can get a proper reading. And I've not got the right bits on. But if we go there, so that is reading 673. So that is a massive difference compared to the other unit. Absolutely massive difference. I don't know if this is actually a good idea. Because as I say, that one's set to something. I think what we'll do is we'll reset this board to the same spec as this laser. What I'm going to do first is I'm just going to remove the ports. I never actually reconnected them after the last time we did this. Remove the power switch. And then what I've done is I have already loosened off the screws for that. And then I'm just going to put this on right, straight off. And just want to see if this will actually work in this console. Right, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to angle this camera up a bit. So that you can see just part of the screen. We just want to get a general idea. And just get the disc. So I've actually been flicking between discs on this. So you'd have seen that I had FIFA Street in there for a while. When I tried that in the Lilac GameCube this morning, it didn't actually like it. So I have switched back to Wave Race. Let me plug in my little converter. And it should come up with a blue screen. He says. Yep, there we go. So we've got the blue screen. So if I'm going to hold this down to start with and turn on the console. No, I'm not, because one, I haven't got, do I need this board plugged in? I'm going to plug it in just to be on the safe side. Right. So there we go. Now turn it on, hold that down, and the disc should spin. Yes. So there we go. It is spinning. It is asking for a setup. So let's get the controller plugged in. Probably going to ask to reset the time. No, I'm not going to reset it now. And there we go. So you can see that this system does work with this disc, which is great. So we know that it's not the system. So now I want to try and work out what part of the old laser assembly is causing it to basically error out. And right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this all torn down, and then I'll get both the lasers off, and we'll start removing some bits. Right, so we've got both of the CD units here. So we've got this one here, which stars 579. That is the one out of the Lilac machine. And then we've got the one here, 767, which is out of the black console. So I've just got to remember between those two what ones are what. Where should we start? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. We're going to start off with this one first, and I'm actually going to remove this top part. So removing the top part isn't a massive deal. All you've got to do is basically on each of the four corners there's some little tabs. You just got to get them over the lips. So no, sorry, there's only actually three. There's not one on this one. Just be careful with the rubber part. And there we go. That is free. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this ribbon cable, because I don't want to risk damaging anything that's not, that we don't need to. And then what we've got, right, so we've got the, these are the two solder points for the power for the laser assembly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my ceramic tweezers out, just so that we can use these for getting some of the ribbon cables off. Right, so there's that one. And for now, I'm just going to loosen up that cable, just so we've got a bit of play. Okay, so that is going to be, so the cable is actually the power cable for driving the laser. So what I think we'll do is because obviously the disc isn't spinning, so why don't we try switching the motor out first, see how we get on with that. I'm not going to unsolder those. I'm going to leave those soldered because, yeah, I don't see the need to remove them. We're not going to, probably not going to change this motor because we know that the laser does move fine. So let's just move that one off to the side for a second and bring in this one. So once again, just going to get it up over the lips. There we go. And then unhook the cable for the laser. There we go. Just work that out. Right, so what I'll do is I'll get my screwdriver now. I'm just going to unscrew the motor. Hopefully it is just as simple as this, and that it's not all the lasers and everything like that. Because reading up online, it's quite confusing as to what could be the cause of this not spinning. Some people say that it's the laser. Some people say that it could be the motor. Other people say that the motors don't fail. They're really good. So, yeah, it's a difficult one. So that's what made me come to the point where I was like, let's swap some bits out. I've got a working laser assembly that we can use. And worst case scenario, I can then just get the part that's actually failed. So I need to remember that's the part off of the broken one. This is the one off of the working one. So it's fair, as you can see, it's fairly easy to swap out these parts. I'll actually say I think that the GameCube is really well designed, considering it's in such a small package. And you look at the other consoles that were released at the same time. Yeah, it is just I think it's a really well engineered console. So there's that. So we're now, so we've got the motor out of the working GameCube, but we're still using the laser out of the broken GameCube. Right, that's back in. So let me move my mat off to the side again, or my towel. Bring the GameCube back in. Yeah, plug that in. That's all plugged in. So I'm not massively hopeful that this will work, but fingers crossed. So okay, that's back together as much as we need for now. I will plug the controller in, just in case it does come up with a clock prompt again. But to be quite honest, what we're looking for is we're just looking for it to spin. And obviously with this board is obviously turned right the way down. So we have got to remember that. Right, so power's on. Let me reposition the camera again so you can see the screen. And right, so I'll hold this down. Right, so no disc spin this time. So that is in line with what a lot of people have said. So obviously at this point on the other console, the disc was spinning. So it is definitely not the motor. So that's good. That's one thing that we've ticked off, which was the whole purpose of this. So next up, what we're going to do is we're going to adjust this old board to the same spec as the other board, because I don't want to burn the laser out when we get to the point of swapping the lasers. But what? Yeah, I think we will. Yeah, there'll be probably a bit more to do, but right, let's. Okay, so we are now back at this point. So this time it is going to be, I'm going to put the original motor back in. Okay, so as I say, I'm going to take this motor back out, put the original one back in, and I'm literally just going to take the bits out as and when we need to. So we know that it is, well, I'm pretty sure now it's not the motor. Because as I say, we've put the new one in, we put the working one in, and we're still getting the same result. Okay, so now we've got the motor back in. What I'm going to do is, before we take apart the other one again, I'm going to remove the laser from this one. Right, so that is the laser assembly out of the broken one. And then, so I'm just going to move that off up there. And before we go any further, I just want to re-measure. So there you go, 672, 673. So I need to make sure that when we before we put this laser, before we turn this laser on in the old assembly, that we adjust the potentiometer to about 670. So once again, actually, is that the same? Yeah, that is the same. Need to make sure I clean that. Obviously, I am going to re-grease all of the runners before we put it all back together finally. But for now, we just want to be able to test and make sure that they're all working. Right, so that is the working laser. And then what I'm going to do is, while we're here, I'm going to put the working motor back in. Okay, so let's get this bar in first, because the laser just clips onto this. It doesn't actually need to come out. Right, so there we go. So that is the laser back on. So let's get it screwed back in. As I say, before we put it all back in, or before we put it all back in the console, we will get the potentiometer adjusted to the same spec as what it was on the other console. So there and there. So this is now the working laser in the non-working assembly. And then just plug the motor back in. And what I will do is I will reroute it all back the way that it should be. just check what this is at the moment. I think it's quite low. Yeah, 231. Okay, so let's adjust this up a bit. Nope, that was the wrong way. So I know I'm doing quite extreme turns there. So that's 396. $5.16. $7.15. So just try and go back down a touch. So I want to try and get it as close to what the other board is reading. Six, 683. It's going to be really difficult to get this dialed in to pretty much where I want it to be. So 690, that's about 20 over. I don't really want to be that high. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my other probes out so that I can do it properly. So they're in the other box. So give me 2 minutes. I'm going to get this adjusted and then we'll get it tested. Okay, so I've got my other probes. The problem that I have is with the normal set that I've got, you see that there's no point on my positive cable. So whereas these ones do have. So obviously with that other set, I have to measure it from the middle. So doing it like this, I can then go onto the sides. So we're just over 700 at the moment. So what I can do, very difficult to keep them on like this. How did that go down? So that's I know you can't quite see the multimeter, but all right. So if I now measure it now. So we're at 668, 669, So yeah, I'm quite happy with that. There's no real difference. Okay, so that's that bit. So now I'm happy to put this into the Xbox, into the GameCube. I've just been watching a video on Xbox games, so yeah, bit of Xbox on the brain. So just be a just quickly plugging everything in. Right. I'm going to move these off to the side. And once again, just adjust the camera up a bit so that you can see just the edge of the screen. Not going to worry about. Keep flipping over to the game capture for now. So yeah, so we're now using the old board, old motor, and other laser. So let's get the Wave Race game out again. Okay, so our power's on. I'm going to hold the switch down. And there we go. We've got this spin. So if I now go English. You must first set the calendar and date options. Yeah, okay, whatever. So let's see if I can go. So there we go. We've not had that before. Wave Race. And there we go. So it is 110% the laser. So yeah, really chuffed with that. That's such a relief because I was so worried that it was going to be the board. So we know that it's not the board now, and it is just that laser. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go and order a laser. But what I'll probably do is I'm probably going to leave the laser in this unit now, and just replace the laser for the lilac one, because or shall I? No, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to, what we'll do now, let's get this turned off. What we'll do is we will get this console tidied up. I'm going to put the laser back in the other unit so that the other unit's back to 110% how it was. And then what I'll do is I'll get the laser ordered for this, and then we'll swap this out, because I think now this video's gone on for a bit longer than I was expecting. So we'll do the modification on it in another video. So probably be a couple of weeks' time now, because I've got a couple of bits on this weekend. So I'm probably not going to get to do a lot of filming this weekend. But yeah, let me get everything switched back the way it was. I'm going to leave this laser out now. I'm not going to put that back in, but I will put the screws and everything back in. And yeah, so give me 2 minutes to do that, and then we'll be right back. So that is the GameCube all back together. Just wipe the top off. So yeah, it isn't a complete repair, but obviously we now know exactly what's wrong with it. I am going to get the parts ordered, and then as soon as they come, we'll get the new laser fitted, we'll get the mod chip put in, and then we'll get the plastic bit on the front here retro brighted, and yeah, get the console looking its best. So yeah, I am going to leave this repair here. So yeah, if you did enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that like button. If you're not already, hit that subscribe button to see more repair videos just like this. Hopefully ones where we actually do finish the repair in one video. But yeah, with that said, thank you so much for watching today. Really hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, bye.